Joining us, Mrs. Deepa Sachanandani, Deputy Head of Research at Century Financial. Thank you, Mrs. Deepa, for joining us. So far, it looks like the assets and commodities have still not taken the right track with the announcement of Trump's winning the elections. The pressure is still continued. Do you believe that the dollars will maintain its strength for a longer period of time in affecting the gold prices?
Yes, so as far as the reaction is concerned, the reaction that we are seeing for the dollar is primarily driven by a Trump victory, because markets are more or less clearly priced in a Trump or a Republican sweep, and the impact on dollar is because of Trump's policies. So I'll just explain about that. So Trump has been advocating of increasing the tariffs, and which would ultimately raise to higher inflation. And when we see inflation go on the higher side, it would definitely cause the Federal Reserve to take a pause as far as the rate cuts are concerned. Also, Trump has been propagating lowering corporate taxes from 21% to 15%, which would also cause an increase in the fiscal deficit. So because of that, which would ultimately lead to higher debt for the U.S., and because of that, we are seeing interest rates go higher. Like the yields have been higher since morning, and likewise the dollar has been gaining strength. Both of which factors are negative for commodity prices, especially assets like gold and silver, and hence we've been seeing commodity prices dip since the election results have been out.
Mrs. Deepa, on the other hand, and prior to the announcement of the results, and in the past we had seen that the US were examining the possibility of imposing with the G7 a series of taxes on palladium and on platinum, and those are involved in the production of cars and vehicles. To what extent do you believe that Trump's winning will actually increase those taxes, especially in order to combat and to fight against China?
Yes, so I do believe that we could see these taxes coming up, because Trump has always been an advocate of fossil fuels and against clean energy and electric vehicles. So as far as trying to impose restrictions on China are concerned, wherein he's actually proposing 60% tariffs on China, we do believe that all of this would be the impact would also be seen on commodities like palladium and platinum, which are used for electric vehicles. So we do foresee some more impact on these prices going forward in the future, which would ultimately dent the demand for electric vehicles, or and focus more on the fossil fuels, which Trump has always been propagating. More so, it's wise to say that he will also in turn, like we've seen Tesla prices skyrocket, Tesla stock prices go up the sky. That has been because Trump has been a great advocate for Elon Musk, and likewise Elon Musk has been advocating Trump. So the impact would be there, but to some extent it might be mitigated and limited because of the support that we see Trump has for Tesla.
One last question, Mrs. Deepa. How are we, from your point of view, to look at the bond yields, especially that we are witnessing increased highs with the Trump winning, but the winning may be disappointing for the markets sometimes?
Definitely. Like I said, Trump has been most of his policies, firstly, which focuses on lowering corporate taxes from a massive 21% to 15%, will definitely try and increase, will focus on increasing the budget deficit and the fiscal deficit for the US, which would have to be compensated by issuing more US debt. Likewise, even as far as the tariffs are concerned, he's focusing on a flat 10% tariffs across all the imported goods, and particularly 60% 10% for Chinese goods. So again, this would create inflationary issues in the United States, and when that happens, although the Fed has forecasted that it would be going for rate cuts, but in this current scenario, the Fed may not be able to go for aggressive rate cuts that markets were previously pricing in, because of which the yields are expected to remain elevated, at least in the near term, and due to which we would see bond prices take a dip, and the risk on trade, like for now, seems to be more active than the risk free trade such as bonds.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Deepa Sachanandani, for joining us from Century Financial. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.
From
Thank you.
Dubai.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.